GM to YouTube. We briefly went over this in the last video, the ToA changes, but I've seen a lot of confusion and I kind of glanced over it. I've seen a lot of people thinking that the ToA changes are a bad thing and that there's big nerfs happening and you're not even going to want to do ToA anymore when the update comes out. I would say for probably over 90% of you, this is going to be a dramatic improvement. It's going to speed up your raids and you're going to be getting even more loot. So we're going to be looking into that and I'm going to be explaining exactly what's going to be changing. Okay, there are a lot of really good QOL, it's not even QOL, it's just things that make the raid a lot less garbage that are going to be very, very massive. And the biggest ones are probably for Baba. If you've done ToA, you currently know, like, when I do Baba, I get my shit beat in, I get hit repeatedly, huge amounts of chip damage through Protect Melee. It wastes a lot of brews and nothing really happens. They are removing all chip damage from Prey Melee. So if you were like thinking these updates are bad, Baba is now not a problem at all. He does not hit you. It should be a damageless room. Assuming everything goes correctly, it'll be a damageless room. You won't be spending brew there anymore. A couple other changes make it a lot better as well. Baba spawns fewer baboons, which will die after one hit from any attack style. When he spawns those monkeys, he says fewer, so I'm assuming in solo that's going to be one. It'll spawn one monkey. You whip around with a blowpipe, shoot it once, and it's gone. That's going to make it a lot faster as well. If you chose to just like tank them, now there's less reason to do that. Like you don't have to tank them. You just whip around and kill it really quick. Like no problem. It also drops more bananas on death, so you'll have to do a little bit more movement to dodge those, but that's totally fine. The other thing is damage from the thrown debris is now fully shifted on anything you split the damage with, boulders and sarcophagi. Like this is a little confusing to me, like wording, but what I'm getting from this is that basically you're not going to take that chip damage. When a rock hits you and you're next to something, that thing is going to take all the damage instead of you. Tremendously better. Now, I've got two blogs open. A lot of people are confused by this line, and we're going to go like back and forth between these. This is the more updated blog with a couple changes. It said, we're not looking to make further tweaks to Baba. We believe Red X still has its place since performing it correctly effectively mitigates the spooky part by preventing Baba from using the debris rubble special attack. This is how I took it as well, is that they weren't going to go through the changes for Baba and make it still hit through prayer. Wrong. It's just incredibly poorly worded. What they meant was they're not going to change anything further. Like, they're not going to change the changes that are being changed, right? You follow? Very simple stuff. Basically, Baba's still going to be the same as what we just read. He's not going to hit you through prayer. Confirmed on Reddit here. If you're like, are you sure? So did Baba changes get removed? Are they being kept and nothing further is being changed? I'm confused on the wording. Kept as they were in the initial blog, as per Goblin. So Baba's going to be much, much easier and simpler to fight. Moving on to Akka. Akka's arguably same level changes. This is like probably the biggest thing for your raids, especially if you as a player don't have a shadow yet. This is going to make a massive difference. This is by far the biggest time save for your raids, and it's going to make them much easier as well. Protection prayers now mitigate more damage from Akka. Everybody knows that Akka destroys you through prayers, so they're bringing that number down at least a little bit. So he's going to chip you a little less hard if you're tanking Akka. The Stay Vigilant invocation is getting a small rework. The changes look as follows. Akka will swap styles whenever he uses a special attack. Every time he does like Simon Says, or, you know, one of those special attacks where he's dropping orbs, like stuff like that, that will change his style. Like guaranteed it will change his style. Akka will use special attacks more often than the base variant. This will mirror the number of specials he uses at the moment with this invocation active. And whenever Akka swaps styles, he'll respect the same predictable order as the base variant's overhead swaps do, rather than swapping randomly. One more thing that they've added, if you're like, wow, that's annoying, he's going to change all the time. I was doing butterfly, that's really annoying. We're adjusting our proposal so that Akka only swaps styles if he's attacked you with a regular attack before performing a special attack. So what this means is if Akka got a hit off and then does Simon Says, only then will he be able to change. If you perfectly butterfly the entire fight, he will never change styles, which is an amazing change. It just rewards you for playing properly. So this means that if you're perfectly butterflying, you shouldn't run into style swaps. Massive, massive change. And that is going to stack with the thing after, which we're going to read now. Whenever Akka swaps styles, Akka now only prays against the style that he's attacking with. Oh my God, that's insane. So that means when you enter the room and Akka's trying to melee you, he's only praying melee. He's not praying melee and ranged. What does that mean? What does this mean for you? You can butterfly Bofa. This is more insane than you have any, like, this is ridiculously good. This is so much better because before, like you have a Sang. Let's say you're a player with like a Sang or a Trident of the Swamp. Like you have to make the hard decision of, do I butterfly Akka and leave him as a style where I can mage the entire time, but also I just do no damage because mage sucks in the game if you don't have a shadow. Now you get to Bofa, and if you do it perfectly, he'll never change and you get to Bofa the entire kill. Crazy, crazy. Not to mention that Bofa is a better weapon on the shadows than maging them. So when the shadows pop up, you could just keep butterflying and Bofa the shadow instead. This is incredibly, incredibly impactful. Not to mention, you can also butterfly with an Atlatl. It's possible to butterfly perfectly with a 3-tick weapon, a 4-tick weapon, or a 5-tick weapon. Any of those work. Atlatl's pretty strong in Akka. It's not bad at all. So you have a ton of options. If you can't afford a Bofa even, and you're like a mid-level player, holy cow, this is crazy if you're skilled enough. Akka will be a 0 damage room and it'll be 100% consistent. What? This is insane. This is a crazy, crazy change. This is potentially speeding up this room by like 2 times. Like that is a massive time save. And also just makes it so much easier, taking so much less damage. Incredible change. They had a couple other small changes, like Akka's stat drain now only affects combat skills. That's just for the death. The death DPS check, it doesn't really matter. Small change. Special shot attacks will occur every 7 attacks rather than every 6 attacks, so they take a little bit longer per special attack. And the last huge things for you, the number of orbs during Akka's come phase has been reduced. So they're making the last bit of Akka much, much easier. So not only can you Bofa the entire fight, holy cow, like Akka's been whacked down a level, like so much more approachable, especially if you're a player without a shadow, because everybody knows Akka without a shadow just sucks. Like it is not a good time trying to fight Akka with like a Trident of the Swamp or something. So this is going to be massive if you're that player. Okay, on to Kefri. These are smaller changes, but there's a lot of good changes here still too. They've lowered the mage defense of the Soldier Scarab. Like I said, if you don't have a shadow, this raid sucks. If you remember trying to kill that thing in like a 300 to 400 raid level, it takes forever. You splash so much. So they're lowering that. Oh my god, that's massive. Scarabs no longer scale their defense with raid level, so you can easily fang them. Those ranging scarabs or the spitting scarabs that take forever to kill, they're gonna die so fast now. Ridiculously fast. That's also theoretically going to include the Soldier Scarab if you were fanging him, and the Arcane Scarab if you were fanging him. Massive. The Arcane Scarab is now guaranteed to move after a certain number of attacks, regardless of those attacks hitting or missing. So if you tag the Arcane with 3 blowpipe shots and they're all 0s, he'll jump. So if things are looking bad ever, as long as you make it up to the Arcane and hit him 3 times, he's not going to hit you. Like you never ever have to worry about that. One other change that they added in the follow-up blog that you might have missed is that for Kefri, we'll look into a bug where the Bone Dagger isn't acting as you'd expect if using its special attack on entry. If you don't know, the Bone Dagger is not guaranteed to hit on Kefri for some reason. Only time it's guaranteed is during the first set of Scarabs. So after you kill the first set of Swarms, and Kefri starts to get back up during that brief window while she does the get up animation, if you Bone Daggered, it was guaranteed. But that was after you've done like a bunch of damage to Kefri. Like it kind of sucks to Bone Dagger that late. Now you can Bone Dagger right off the bat, assuming they fix this. That's going to be a huge time save as well. Like the average Kefri is going to be much, much faster. This honestly pushes Bone Dagger, in my opinion, to be better than a Bando's Godsword. Because the issue with Bone Dagger was it was about equal to BGS for defense reduction. But on Kefri, BGS was kind of nice because you got to just double spec with it right off the bat and hope it landed, even though it was like 30% accurate. Now you just get to Bone Dagger. It's kind of worth hanging up the BGS and just taking this instead at this point, because it's really, really good for draining defense in the raid. They also mentioned they try to tie up the annoying scenario of getting hit by Dung back to back if you send Kefri into her final phase while she's using the attack. So if you ever hit her right as she did Dung at you, she'd do it twice, and then you'd get hit by the Dung, and that could get you trapped. Really, really annoying. So they're going to try to fix that too. Even though they're really small single lines, like these changes are going to make Kefri much faster. There's kind of a through line with all of these changes that the raid is just faster now. Much, much faster and more consistent. Less brew use, less supply use. Like it's just going to be better. For Zebak, they said waves no longer push the player back but deal 30% more damage. They are not doing this. They are not doing this. They talked about it in the follow-up blog, which is for Zabak, we agree that the wave pushing is iconic. We'll be investigating whether we can make the pushing smarter with your pathfinding so that it's less chaotic if you slip up once. What they mean with smarter is that the waves have a stupid dragging hitbox with line of sight checks. Ideally, you'd be able to just perfectly go around it. We'll see what they do. They said if our investigation leads to a dead end, then we'll have the waves deal reduced damage on subsequent hits instead. So when you're getting hit over and over and over by the waves, like 4 times in a row, those hits after the first one are going to hit less bad. Okay, so that would be, like, both of these are going to make a massive difference. Whatever they end up going with, Zabak is going to be a lot more consistent. And that's the only change they made for Zabak. That's it. That's all they did for it. And Wardens, another very short, simple line that's insane. Skull bombs during P2 can no longer land underneath the active warden or the obelisk. So those giant bombs that come from the sky, they land down and they do the giant cross pattern lightning that pulls your prayer off, hits you for 50, like annihilates you. Now they won't be hidden underneath warden. Oh, big. Because this is the one way you died on P2 Warden, is those bombs landing, barely clipping you from underneath the bottom of him that you didn't see, and he hits you with like a melee or like an instant attack because your prayer gets pulled off. Now you're going to live. Beautiful change. Overall, summarizing the changes to the raid itself, Baba, 0 brew room, and no special like tech required, no red X, no 5-to-1, just you do the boss, he doesn't hit you. Akka hits you less through prayer. If you choose, you can butterfly with almost any weapon you have, and it's 100% consistent if you do it perfectly. He will never ever change styles, and come phase is getting easier. Like less orbs flying around the room. Holy. Kefri, they're lowering the defense on everything. Arcane Scarab is no longer a problem. They're letting you Bone Dagger, and then Zabak's waves are going to be a little less punishing, and Warden Skull Bombs are less punishing. These changes are crazy. This has knocked, like, probably half of the ToA flaws I have, if anybody doesn't know. Outside of ToA, I raged at one point when I wiped a ToA, and I marked every single flaw I could think of within ToA outside of the raid. I have like 200 tile markers. This will knock down at least half of them. Like, these changes almost all of my problems with the raid, so massive changes. Last important things to mention, they've tweaked the puzzles a tiny bit to make them a little bit easier. The main thing you're looking for here is 2 of the monkey room waves are getting removed. Massive changes. Okay, that's big. That's great. What about the loot? Because a lot of people are concerned about the loot changes. Things are getting nerfed. Stinky, bad, less purples. Not bad. These are actually really important changes, and they should have done this a long time ago. What they are doing, in that first blog, they just said, hey, we're going to do nerfs. We don't know exactly what's going on. In the follow-up blog, they fully explained what they were going to do. So they said our goals here are effectively twofold. Decrease the volume of Fangs and Light Bearers entering the game because they're considerably undervalued. Fang hit 9 mil, by the way. These prices were ridiculous. I think Light Bearer was like 1.5 mil or something. Like crazy cheap. And they saw that as an issue. I agree. It's a bit of an issue. Fang should not be 9 mil. And they're decreasing the overall volume of ToA uniques entering the game because the rate is far too generous at the top end, warping the rest of the unique economy around it. So they gave some numbers, some stats they have, and it's what I suspected. It's what I said all the time on stream, is that 400s are the thing providing the majority of the purples. And would you look at that right there? 12% of the completions of ToA are 400 to 449, but it accounts for 1/4 of all the uniques. So almost all the uniques were coming from 400. What a surprise. And then you can see the people doing like 500s is almost no one, and it's 7%. It's not people doing 500s. It's those people doing the like 8-man mass 400s are pumping out purples, like a crazy amount of purple. What they are doing is this. They're doing this. Graph, scary. It's not scary. The pink is what it is right now, and the dark purple is what it's gonna be. So as you can see, these are the exact same graph at this raid level until 300. If you were a player that was doing 300s or lower, that was what you were up to, your raids are gonna be the same rates. So your raids are getting easier, and your rates are the exact same. Not bad. Not bad. If you were people pushing raid level, doing those 8-man mass 400s, doing 500s, the rate is getting reduced. And you can see that here. It's a lot more gradual than it was before, where it was like very exponential. Going to higher raid level mattered way more. Now, what they're doing with this is, yes, they are nerfing the purples at higher raid levels, but what they're also doing is increasing your rate for the better purples at higher raid levels. Your chances at anything that is not a Fang or a Light Bearer gets higher proportionally the higher your raid level is above 300, right? So to get the best odds at a shadow, you want to be pushing raid level, which is kind of perfect because if you're like an Iron Man or a mid-level player, when you're an Iron Man, your goal is get that Fang and that Light Bearer right off the bat. Those are amazing purples to get, and your chances are not any different at this raid level, which is probably what you're going to be sending it at. If you don't have a Fang yet, you're probably going to be at 300 or lower. Like a lot of people fall within like 200 to 300 if they don't have a Fang yet, because it's really hard to punch through the defense of anything in the raid at higher raid levels. So if that's you, if you're in that camp, you're like starting the raid, trying to get the starter purples, this update is a huge benefit to you. It's going to speed up your raid. You're going to use less supplies, and it's going to be the same rates as before. Now they give the exact like odds and everything. Basically, if you're like, how much worse is it? It's a lot worse, like 300 to 400, and then it's a little less worse, but it is still a nerf, like up to 500, right? So they have like the amount of raids per Fang, amount of raids right now per Fang, amount of raids proposed per Fang. They have like per each purple. So you can see Shadow here at 500, 186 to 216, right? So it's a nerf. It's not horrible though. It's not like a massive difference. But if you are in the camp of doing like the 400s, 283 to 351. So like that's a bigger jump. So if you want a shadow, you want to really, really push the raid level. Like you want to get it a lot higher, which kind of makes logical sense, right? Like if you're doing that super high raid level without a shadow, you should be rewarded for it with more shadows. And you can see the rates for things like a Fang here, live raids per Fang, proposed raids, it's the same at these raid levels. Exact same. 138, 108, 108, 82, 82. Like these are going to be the same deal. Also applies to Light Bearer. So like if you're an Iron Man and you're like, hey, I want to go get those like early good purples, this update's amazing for you. Like this doesn't hurt you at all. It's only standing to benefit you to go like send ToA. Perfect. Like it's getting more people into raids, and it's nerfing the problem areas. So I've seen a lot of players like confused, like, oh, this update's going to be really bad. I've seen people like hopping my chat and asking like, hey, are you going to push some ToAs before the update comes out so you get better purples? No. I have a Hosta on my hardcore. I don't have anything to be pushing high raid levels. Why would I not wait for this update? Like, I'll be able to, I don't have a Bofa, but I can at-lateral butterfly Akka. I won't take any damage from Baba. He's not dangerous whatsoever. No more skull bombs under Warden. Way less danger, risk for my hardcore. And the rates are the same. And I'm going to be flying through the raid. Like, there is absolutely no reason for me to be sending ToA until this update happens. Which is in a few days, by the way. They pushed for this really fast. Really, really fast. Now, I've seen a lot of people complaining that they are, mostly from the super high level players, like from the super good ToA runners, that they are, you know, watering down the raid. They're making everything too easy. And they're removing a lot of cool tech. Like I've seen people complain like 5-to-1 Baba is getting removed. Well, it's not getting removed. It's just not worth it. You know, like things are getting pulled back. The raid is getting watered down. Why are they doing this? I think what those players don't understand, first of all, is the way the raid feels if you don't have that max gear. If you don't have a shadow and you're trying to run anything in this raid and you don't have a Fang, God forbid you don't have a Fang in ToA, there's just no way to push the raid level. Like if you try to do a 400 with a Hosta, like your Baba's going to be like 13, 14 minutes. Your Kefri, I don't even want to think about how long Kefri is. Like the raid, it takes an eternity without the max gear. So these changes are a massive, we see a lot of stuff benefiting the people that aren't doing the super high raid levels, like stuff like reducing the defensive stuff, making it more fair. Like this just makes it so much better for that tier of player. Like the players without the max gear, without perfect stats, like making it just feel a lot less like sluggish, like muddy than before. Like if you've ever tried a 300 without a Fang, like it feels like you're trudging through mud trying to get through Baba or Kefri. Like they just take an eternity, a small eternity. So these changes are great for that. Yes, some tech is being lost, but we also see the stuff like if you butterfly Akka perfectly, he'll never change. Like that's something I've been asking for so long. It's so annoying right now that Akka's totally random if you get to butterfly or not, no matter what. Even if you make 0 mistakes, it's still random what he's going to do. I hate that. There's just the RNG when you get to Akka that it'll take 6 minutes longer because he decides to be an asshole that day. Like that sucks. So yes, like a couple like key pieces of tech that people use are getting lost, but they are tech that is only used in solo and also not used by the majority of the player base because they're very, very difficult. I won't claim that there's nothing being lost here. The greater whole, like this is an amazing update. Like this is definitely for the better for the game. The raid should not be oh, you have to learn this tech or the boss just kills you. Like, you have to learn Red X or you can't do a 500. You'll have to flip a coin to see if you survive Baba. That is dumb. That is incredibly stupid. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And it's great that they're doing the loot nerfs alongside this because they are making things a lot easier. Like, there's no argument here that things are not getting easier. A lot of the bosses aren't hitting through prayer anymore. You're going to use less supplies. Like, it is just getting a lot easier. So doing that loot nerf at the same time makes a lot of sense to counteract the faster raids people are going to be getting. The length of ToA as well is kind of an outlier compared to the other raids. Like, a high-level ToA takes, like, around 40 minutes. Like, to do a 500 in max gear is, like, 40 minutes. Even, like, that's, like, equivalent to, like, a solo Tob in length, which is crazy. Like, solo Tob wasn't even intended to be completed. A solo Cox could be, like, around 15 minutes for, like, a good solid player with max gear. And Tobs in, like, a trio, like, around 20 minutes. So, like, it's just way longer than I think they intended for it to be. And you see that with, like, the time invocations, which you just stop using at high raid levels because you're never going to beat that time. So I'm glad to see a lot of changes that are just speeding the raid up because it really should have just been faster. Like, as a whole, the raid is taking a really long time, like, compared to, I think, what they expected. I think they thought people would be using those time invos a lot more, and at a higher raid level, you just don't ever do that. So these changes, like reducing things defense, allowing Bone Dagger, you know, stuff like that, it's really going to be a lot faster. Basically, you want to be looking out for this update. It's coming in a few days. They are pushing for it really hard, really fast. Very, very exciting stuff. If you're looking to get into ToA or if you've been doing ToA, it's going to be a lot better. I am going to be making a whole suite of guides, like refresher guides, like on the 300s with different setups, different gear setups, new 500 guides, things like that. So if there's anything that you're like, I wish you got explained better in your old guides, like leave it in the comments below. Like, mention like what I possibly might miss in a guide, because I don't always know what people don't know when I make a guide. So it's hard for me to make them perfectly for you guys to like be the most informative they can be. So let me know if there's stuff that you don't know that you want like covered, you would like me to talk about. I'm also going to be making guides. It's not just the ToA changes with this update, it's everything. It's all of the other changes we talked about, like the elemental weaknesses, the loot changes, like stuff like that. So a lot of bosses are getting better as well at mid-level. Things like Muzpa are getting elemental reworks, so I'll probably be making guides on those as well. Maybe Cerberus as well, we'll see. Lots and lots of content coming out because there's just so many massive changes to PVM coming up. So very exciting stuff. And that's it for the video. I hope this cleared up some of the misconceptions of like, oh, should I be doing ToA right now or not? No, you should wait. The update's great. Leave a like if you liked it and or subscribe, guys, all right? I'll catch you later. Peace.